I was 18 years old the first time I said it. My first limo company. I started it at 18. I had a business before most guys my age had a car payment. And the rule was when I make more money than I spend, I'll start putting money away. Now, I said it at 18. I said it at 30. I said it at 45. I said it 4 days ago. Here's the thing about that company. 18-year-olds didn't have limousine companies. As a matter of fact, 18-year-olds couldn't even buy insurance on one. 25 was the age you had to be to get insurance. So how did I make that happen? I hustled. I went through 32 insurance companies to get to the one that would actually insure an 18-year-old. And it was a startup insurance company. And if I could do that, then my theory about how I'd start putting money away when I made more than I spent seemed like a good idea. It sounded responsible. I had authority I'd built. Because there I am at 19 years old, and I pulled off the impossible. And all my life, it was always about pulling off the impossible. Every man I know has a version of that. But stay with me, because this isn't responsible. Here's the part I'd rather not tell you about. The limo company had good months. I made more than I spent, and I always found a way to spend more. Started another company, sold it. First real money I had ever had in my life. It sat for about a year, but I wasn't protecting it. I was spending it. Everything I'd always wanted to do and couldn't afford. Then it funded the next startup. I was in my mid-30s. It always seemed like I had plenty of time. Time to have that next windfall to cover my retirement. And I wasn't worried about it. I'd done several businesses by then. Some had done good, some had done bad. I didn't worry because I always could come back. It was always, I can just do it again. I can do it again. And that kept going all my life. Tremendous stress from the up and the down, plus everything else I had going on. And I never focused in on the thing I needed to focus in on, putting money away. The threshold wasn't impossible, and I had crossed it. And then I always ended up moving it. Here's the strange part. I never once thought of myself as behind. Not at 40, not at 50, because I had a plan. I'll just keep going. I never retire, I'll work. If you never retire, you never need a number. If you never need a number, you can never be late. That is a retirement plan. It might be the most common one in this country, and nobody ever writes it down. And it's easy to hold because you feel healthy. You keep coming up with ideas. You have a decent life. You think you're invincible. You think, my father lived to be 97, so if I treat my body better than he treated his, I can replicate that. So I can decide to keep working because I'm a little bit different. I'm the go-getter. I'm the entrepreneur in the family. And there's always a way to make a buck. But is there? It held up for 35 years, and it rested on one thing I never said out loud. I don't have the endurance I used to have. That was the assumption underneath the whole thing. I'll keep going. That's not a savings plan. It's an engine plan. And the engine just filed its first honest report. I've got friends that are now retiring. They're traveling. They're buying second homes. I'm still working to get things turned around. And I turned 60 on March 1st. And somewhere in the last few years, I started wanting simpler. Just keep going has no room in it for simpler. So here's the deal. Your body changes. It slows down and you can feel it. You can't do what you used to do. You can't lift what you used to lift. You can't outrun everybody like you used to. There comes a time when things change. And I fully expected that wouldn't happen until much later in my life. And I'm feeling it now. And I'm starting to see why people enter into retirement at my age. Does that mean I'm going to? No, I don't have a choice right now. I have to keep working and I have to find the solutions. I'm in it. I put myself in it. And I'd like to enjoy my life, spend time doing the things my friends are doing that I can't do at the pace they're doing them because I don't have that retirement, because I haven't secured my future and I haven't got a plan yet. For what? What happens when I can't work? What happens if something comes down on me that keeps me from doing what I need to do? Then what? You can argue with your friend's second home. You can't argue with your own body. Somebody told me once, you got nothing to lose. You got nothing. What are they going to take from you? At that time, it sounded logical. So I was willing to take risks, big risks. In football, the quarterback throws it, it gets picked off, returned for a touchdown. A guy runs it back 100 yards, 7 points on the board. But anybody who watches football knows that that's a 14-point swing, even though they only scored 7. You were about to score. Now they scored instead. 2 scores just to get back to even. Same thing happened to me, and no interception ever showed up on a stat sheet. The year I didn't put anything away in my 20s didn't cost me that year's money. It cost what that money would have become. Standing still is not neutral. Standing still is a turnover. I want to show you something I did 4 days ago. I was working through this exact thing, naming it out loud for the first time. 41-year-old pattern finally on the table. And then I said, as soon as the cash flow starts, I'll start putting it away. Same rule, new code on the day I named it. I understand this at 25. Understanding was never the problem. Understanding is what the pattern feeds on. So here's what I actually did. It is not impressive. Filter water at home instead of Pepsi. Breakfast at home instead of out. 40 years I worked the left side of that sentence. Make more. This is the first time I've worked the other side. And here's the part that matters. It has to go somewhere it can't get pulled back in. Money that sits in the same account as everything else isn't saved. It's just spent slower. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm not qualified, and I'm not going to pretend that I am. I went and I found out, and here's what I found out. I'm 59, I'm behind, and I'm not waiting for the cash flow to start. I'm doing this one day better, and I hope you will too.